sources that we have after the grand jury voted unfairly to indict him. But because of security concerns, the arraignment won't take place until next week, probably on Tuesday afternoon. Donald Trump will be booked. He will be fingerprinted. There'll be a mugshot. The media mob, they will get their so desired mugshot. Now, my gut instinct tells me that my friend, my colleague, Pete Hegseth, who was on last night, he's going to be proven correct. That photograph will end up on more T-shirts and more hats that say MAGA and Trump 2024. It will also appear before Judge Juan Merchan, who, by the way, the very same judge who was accused of railroading the former CFO of the Trump organization. Now, according to Trump, quote, the judge assigned to my witch hunt case hates me. Now, at this point, would you expect anything less? This is not a criminal case. This is a political hatchet job. And by the way, there will be no settlement, according to a source close to President Trump. He plans to fight this to the very end. The first step will most certainly be a motion to immediately dismiss all of the charges on 3 separate grounds. We'll go over this with our attorneys tonight in the course of the program. One, the faulty legal theory. We don't know the exact charges, but allegedly what Bragg is doing is attempting to bootstrap a misdemeanor documents crime to an FEC charge that has never been done before and might not even be legal in and of itself. The second thing, Trump's lawyers will likely argue that the case is beyond the statute of limitations, which they are. After all, there is a 2-year limit on charges related to mislabeling documents. Now, the third reason for a dismissal involves prosecutorial misconduct. Here you have a DA responsible for the charges. His name is Alvin Bragg. He ran on a campaign promise to go after one man, Donald Trump, one family, the Trump family, one organization, the Trump organization. Now, I think all of that clearly reeks of political bias, don't you? Maybe the end result should be that he gets disbarred. As the New York Post points out, quote, surely the judge will be asked to consider this question. Would this case have been brought against any other person? Now, of course, the answer is no. In fact, the DOJ, the FEC, the Mueller investigation, Bragg's predecessor, and even Bragg himself declined to bring these charges until now. Now, meanwhile, Alvin Bragg rarely brings felony charges against anybody in New York, even violent offenders. According to an op-ed from Jonathan Turley, he said, quote, Donald Trump would have been better off robbing Stormy Daniels with a gun. Bragg would have thrown that case right out. Now, Turley is correct. In fact, under Bragg, 52% of every felony case gets reduced to misdemeanors. And of all the felony cases that Bragg actually brings to trial, he loses 49% of the time. In other words, he has one of the worst conviction rates in the entire country. In September, a man named Justin Washington, he received a sweetheart deal from Bragg after allegedly raping a teenage relative. Washington was set to serve 30 days in jail, but before that, he was terrorizing 5 more victims. Now take a look at your screen. Here's another sweetheart deal handed out by Bragg to the perpetrator of a vicious anti-Semitic beating, this in Midtown Manhattan in New York City. Bragg also reduced the charges for a man who attempted to rob the same pharmacy twice in one day at knife point. This guy had a lengthy rap sheet, more than 20 arrests for rape, robbery, assault, other crimes. Alvin Bragg didn't care at all. In another case, the perpetrator had 46 prior arrests, out on parole, but Bragg once again reduced the charges. And then there's the, New York resident known as Hillary Rodham Clinton. She has never been charged with a crime, not in New York, not anywhere, despite what is a mountain of evidence related to a variety of misdeeds. For example, the Clinton campaign and the DNC, they committed the exact same crime that Donald Trump is now accused of. They mislabeled a campaign expense. Steele's dirty dossier, the Russian bought and paid for dossier. Well, they said that was a legal expense, but there were no felony charges, no criminal investigations into Clinton. Instead, last year, her campaign merely agreed to pay a $113,000 fine. Never mind the 33,000 deleted subpoenaed emails. Those were destroyed. Of course, with something we had never heard of before, BleachBit. And then, of course, we had devices. They were destroyed with hammers. We had SIM cards removed as well. Doesn't that sound a little bit like obstruction of justice, to you? She was never charged, and her home was never raided. And keep in mind the dossier case that we mentioned stems from the very same Steele dossier that the Clinton campaign delivered to James Comey's FBI in the lead-up to the 2016 election. But remember this, in early October 2016, Jim Comey's FBI actually flew across the pond. They went to Great Britain. They met with Christopher Steele, and they offered him $1 million if he could corroborate that salacious dossier. Well, even though the Steele dossier couldn't be corroborated, he didn't collect his $1 million because his allegations we now know were completely BS. Comey in late October used that very dossier, contrary to the law, and unlawfully obtained a FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign, the Trump transition team, and even the Trump White House, a president of the United States. Now, at the top of the FISA warrant, the words true and verified are there. The dossier was neither, but the FBI used it anyway to get Donald Trump. But Comey got a free pass. So did Hillary Clinton with her classified document scandal. Comey said no reasonable prosecutor would ever prosecute. But now he's cheering for Alvin Bragg, tweeting out, quote, "It's been a good day yesterday." Jim Comey is corrupt, he's petty, he's a bureaucrat who longs for political vengeance and cares little about what is called the rule of law or equal justice under the law or equal application of our laws. Now, sadly, the current leader of the FBI doesn't seem to be much better. Christopher Wray's FBI was in possession of Hunter Biden's laptop from hell since December of 2019. Instead of authenticating the laptop and investigating the litany of potential crimes recorded on the laptop, well, the FBI, they told big tech in the lead up to the 2020 presidential race to be on the lookout for Russian disinformation related to people like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. They knew they had the laptop. And big tech, by the way, was more than happy to oblige, and they even got money from the FBI, $3.5 million in the case of Twitter. Censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story only weeks before the election. Well, you can count me in the column as somebody that believes the FBI knew the laptop was real. They knew it. They knew Rudy Giuliani had a copy. They knew he would likely release it before the election. And my guess, that is the real reason that the FBI was warning big tech companies to be on the lookout for misinformation on people like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Now, to date, Hunter is yet to be charged with any crimes, even though there is video evidence of, let's see, Hunter Biden smoking crack cocaine, hiring prostitutes, lying on gun applications, selling access to the federal government. Yet, where's that case? There's also extensive evidence from the laptop and a separate Senate and House investigation showing that the big guy and other members of the Biden family might have benefited from Hunter's alleged access peddling, tax evasion charges, money laundering charges, and now we know there was a real quid pro quo, remember? Donald Trump, Ukraine, quid pro quo. Oh, Joe Biden's on tape bragging that Ukraine won't get $1 billion taxpayer dollars unless they fire a prosecutor in 6 hours. That prosecutor, well, ended up getting fired within 6 hours. Ukraine got your $1 billion, meaning taxpayer $1 billion. And guess what? Son of a B, when he was fired, ended right there and then. And Hunter kept getting checks from Burisma Holdings. So let's get this straight. There is video and digital evidence that Hunter Biden committed multiple felonies, but has never been charged with a crime. His father used your taxpayer money to protect the family syndicate. No indictments. And on the other hand, Donald Trump is getting hit with over 30 charges because of a mislabeled non-disclosure agreement over an alleged affair from 2007 that both parties denied, based on testimony from a convicted felon, admitted liar by the name of Michael Cohen, who we all know is hell-bent on getting revenge against his former boss. Does that seem like equal justice under the law, equal application of our laws to you? Well, of course it doesn't to me, but Democrats, they don't seem to care about justice. They seem to only care about winning elections and destroying any and all political opponents. Now, this far-fetched case against Trump is not about keeping New York safe or New Yorkers safe. It's about interfering in the 2024 election, just like the FBI did in 2020 when, of course, the Hunter laptop from hell that they had since December of 2019, just like they did in 2016 with Hillary's dirty dossier. We are now entering a very, very dangerous new era in this country, where justice is no longer blind, where judges, juries, DAs have become political weapons, where we have a...
Stay connected with us. Subscribe to Secret Society News official YouTube channel. Don't forget, like, comment, and share.